Welcome to this deep dive. We're part of the Urban Herald team, and today we're pulling back the curtain on something we think is really going to change your online life. Passkeys.
Yeah, it's a big topic.
It is. Our mission here is to take the research and analysis our team's done and really unpack what these are, why they matter so much,
Yeah.
right now, how they work, and what this shift means for your security and just your day-to-day online experience.
We're talking faster logins, simpler logins.
And finally saying goodbye to that password headache.
That's the goal. We've been looking deep into the data, the tech itself, how fast it's being adopted, and, well, the real-world impact for companies and for individuals.
And what's clear is this isn't just a small update, is it?
No, not at all. It's a completely different way of thinking about proving who you are online.
Okay, let's dive straight into the problem then. The one, well, everyone listening probably knows way too well.
Yes.
Passwords, let's just say it. They're the worst.
They really are. I mean, they're often the weakest link in the whole security chain for most people. They're hard to manage. You either reuse weak ones or you struggle to remember all those complex, unique ones.
Right, which nobody actually does perfectly.
Exactly. And even if you have a strong password, it's only as good as the server security where it's stored. One data breach and millions can be exposed.
And then there's the constant threat of phishing.
Yeah.
Those fake emails, texts trying to trick you into giving up your password. It feels like you always have to be so vigilant. Our team's analysis really showed how big this problem is, didn't it?
It really did. Looking at the numbers our team gathered, over 35% of people we looked at had an account compromised in the past year. And password issues were a major, major factor.
Wow, over a third.
Yeah. And beyond just security, think about the sheer frustration. We found 47% of consumers actually abandon online purchases because they can't remember their password at checkout.
Almost half. That's just friction.
It's real friction, real lost business, real hassle.
It's incredible how much trouble and risk comes from this, well, kind of archaic concept. So,
Yeah.
okay, cue the dramatic entrance. Passkeys. Coming in promising to fix all that.
Right.
They sound almost too good to be true sometimes. What exactly are we talking about when we say passkey?
So at its core, a passkey is basically a digital credential. It's designed specifically to replace your password for one particular website or service.
Okay.
So instead of typing anything, you use something that's already built into your device and linked to you, like your fingerprint, Face ID, or even just the PIN you use to unlock your phone or computer.
No typing.
Yeah.
Just biometrics or PIN.
That's the user experience, yeah.
So the promise is more secure, much easier to use, and you mentioned virtually immune to phishing. That sounds like a massive upgrade.
It absolutely is. And what's really interesting here is that this wasn't just one company's idea. Passkeys came out of years of collaboration between, well, the biggest names in tech, Apple, Google, Microsoft, lots of others working together through something called the FIDO Alliance.
Right.
Yeah, FIDO. Their goal was basically to create an open standard that could finally fix the password problem for good, across everything.
An open standard. That's key for adoption, I imagine.
Definitely. Makes it work everywhere.
Well, let's get slightly technical for a second, but let's keep it grounded, just like our team did in the report. How does this actually work? How do you log in without a password ever being typed or stored?
Okay, so it's built on these established open standards, WebAuthn and FIDO. The core idea behind it is public key cryptography.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Right. So instead of a shared secret, which is what a password is, you know it, the website knows it. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Passkeys use a pair of keys that are mathematically linked.
A public key and a private key.
Exactly. So when you choose to set up a passkey for a site, your device securely generates this unique pair, the public key. That gets sent to the website. They store it.
Is that risky?
Yeah.
Storing the public key.
Not really, because the public key on its own is, well, useless for logging in. It can only be used to verify something. The really critical piece is the private key.
And that stays.
That stays securely on your device, your phone, your computer, maybe inside an encrypted passkey manager. It never leaves your device. It's never transmitted.
Okay, so the private key stays put. What happens when I actually want to log in later?
So you go back to the site. The website sends your device a unique challenge. Think of it like a random piece of data, a nonce.
A challenge, okay.
Your device then uses your private key, which you unlock using your fingerprint, face, or PIN to digitally sign that challenge. This signed data gets sent back to the website.
And the website.
The website uses the public key it already has stored for you to instantly check if that signature is valid and if it matches the private key that only your device should have. If it matches, boom, you're logged in.
And the magic is?
The magic is the private key was never sent, and crucially, no password was ever typed, ever transmitted, or ever stored by the website in the first place.
That separation really is the key, isn't it? It feels like it completely sidesteps the main ways passwords get stolen.
Pretty much, no password gets sent over the wire.
And if the website server gets breached?
All the hackers get are public keys, which, again, are useless for logging in without the matching private keys safely stored on your devices.
Okay, that makes sense. How easy is it to actually set these up and use them day to day?
Our analysis found the user experience is actually designed to be much, much simpler than passwords.
Simpler? Really?
Yeah. When you go to a site that supports passkeys, you'll usually see an option like create a passkey or sign in with a passkey. You tap or click that. Your device then just prompts you to confirm using whatever you normally use to unlock it. Face ID, fingerprint, your PIN.
The same thing I use 50 times a day anyway.
Exactly. You approve, and that's it. The passkey is created and saved. Next time you visit, instead of a password box, the site just asks you to authenticate with your device again. Quick scan or tap, and you're in.
Okay, that does sound smoother. Now, are these passkeys stuck on, say, just my phone? Or can I use them on my laptop, my tablet, everywhere?
That's a really critical point, and yeah, our team looked closely at this. There are basically two ways passkeys get handled. Some can be device-bound, meaning they live only on the specific device where you created them.
Which sounds a bit limiting.
It can be, but the much more common and frankly more convenient approach uses synced passkeys.
Synced? How?
These are securely synchronized across your devices, usually via a trusted passkey manager or a cloud service like Apple's iCloud Keychain or Google Password Manager.
Ah, okay.
So this means you can create a passkey on your phone, maybe while you're out, and then later you can just effortlessly use it to log in on your laptop or another tablet linked to that same manager.
That seamlessness is pretty important.
It's essential for making it practical.
Okay, so the tech explains the security jump. But what are the real, tangible benefits we're seeing for users, and maybe for the websites and services too?
Well, the security benefits are huge. First, as we touched on, they are inherently phishing resistant.
How so, exactly?
Because the passkey is cryptographically tied to the specific legitimate website domain it was created for. If you accidentally click a phishing link and land on a fake site that looks identical, your device or passkey manager just won't offer to use the passkey. It knows it's not the real site. It simply won't authenticate. Phishing attempts just fail.
Wow. Okay, that alone is massive.
It really is. Then, as you mentioned, server breaches become much less damaging. Only public keys are stored, no passwords for attackers to steal and try elsewhere.
Right.
And third, every single passkey is automatically super strong and unique, generated cryptographically. There's no human weakness involved, no password 123 problem.
So you're not just hoping people pick strong passwords, the system ensures it.
Exactly. It takes that burden off the user.
Okay, security is clear. What about the user experience side? Beyond just not forgetting passwords, what does it actually feel like to use these every day?
This is where it gets really exciting for the user, I think. Logins are just significantly faster.
Faster? How much faster?
Our research suggests logins can be, get this, up to 75% faster than typing passwords.
75%?
Yeah. There's nothing to remember, nothing to type, nothing to mistype. It's just a quick scan, a tap, you're in.
That's a lot of seconds saved over time.
It adds up. And for businesses, this translates directly into better engagement, better conversion rates. We saw analysis, I think it was from Dashlane, showing up to a 70% increase in sign-in conversion rates when passkeys were offered.
Because people aren't giving up in frustration.
Precisely. Plus, managing them is actually pretty easy with a good passkey manager. It becomes one central, secure place for all these unique, super strong logins.
And this is designed to work across all the different phones, computers, browsers people use.
That was absolutely fundamental to the FIDO standard. Passkeys are designed from the ground up to work seamlessly across the major ecosystems: Apple, Google, Microsoft.
So no lock-in, ideally.
Right. And with those synced passkeys we talked about, that cross-device experience is key. You can log into something on your desktop even if you first set up the passkey on your phone.
Okay, it sounds incredibly promising on paper. How much are we actually seeing this out in the real world now? Based on the Urban Herald team's reporting, especially looking at data from around May 2025, what do the numbers tell us?
The adoption rate is accelerating really impressively. Our team's analysis shows over 15 billion with a B online accounts currently support Passkeys.
15 billion. Already, that's huge.
It's a massive footprint. And the infrastructure is largely ready too. Something like 91.5% of devices people are using today are already Passkey ready.
So phones and computers can handle it.
Mostly, yes. And people are using them. Our data shows 69% of consumers have enabled Passkeys on at least one online account.
Okay, so over 2/3 have tried it somewhere.
Yeah, and a pretty significant chunk, 38%, are enabling them basically wherever they find the option available. They're actively seeking it out.
That shows real user demand. Are there any specific examples of the impact this is having, like for companies that have rolled them out?
Yes, our reporting dug into some compelling case studies. For instance, CVS Health.
The pharmacy chain.
Yeah. They saw a dramatic 98% drop in mobile account takeover fraud after they adopted Passkeys for their users.
98%?
98%! That's a massive, tangible security win. It directly translates into less fraud, less cost, safer customers.
That's astounding. Okay, so the tech is here, it works, it's being adopted fast, major benefits. But naturally, when our team discusses this or we look at user feedback, questions and concerns pop up.
Sure, absolutely.
What are some of the most common ones and how are they addressed? Like the big one.
Yeah.
What if I lose my phone?
Yeah.
Device holding my precious passkeys.
That's a perfectly valid concern, and it's definitely something the system is designed to handle. If you're using one of those synced passkey managers we mentioned.
Like iCloud Keychain, Google Password Manager, or a third-party one.
Exactly. Like 1Password, for instance. Your passkeys are securely backed up in the cloud, protected by strong encryption. So, typically, you can recover access on a new device just by signing back into your passkey manager account.
Which might require its own password or recovery key.
Often, yes. You'll likely need a master password or some other recovery method you've set up beforehand. That's why setting up those recovery options properly is really key.
So plan ahead.
Plan ahead. Now, if, in some really extreme scenario, you lost all your trusted devices and you hadn't set up recovery paths, well, then you might need to fall back to the traditional account recovery methods offered by the specific website or service itself, like email verification or security questions, whatever they offer.
Okay, so recovery isn't just tied to one physical device if you're syncing. That makes sense. Another common question. Are all websites and apps ready for passkeys right now? Can I use them everywhere?
Not quite everywhere yet. No, it's still a transition period, but the list of sites adding support is growing really, really rapidly.
Like the big ones.
Oh yeah, most of the major platforms you probably use daily, Google, Apple, Microsoft accounts, GitHub, WhatsApp, they already support them. You can often find directories online, like passkeys.directory is one that try to list sites currently supporting them.
Good resource.
Yeah, and for services that haven't implemented passkeys yet, you just keep logging in the old way password, maybe two-factor authentication, whatever they currently use.
Okay, and can I just create like one passkey and use it for everything? A universal key.
No, that's a common misunderstanding, actually. It's the opposite. Just like you should use a unique password for every account.
Which passkeys help you actually do?
Right. You create a unique passkey pair for each specific website or service. One for Google, one for your bank, one for Twitter, etc.
Why is that important?
It's fundamental to the security model. If somehow, hypothetically, the passkey for one site were ever compromised, which is extremely unlikely given how they're stored and used, it couldn't be used to access any of your other accounts on different services. Each lock needs its own specific key.
Got it. Unique key pairs for unique sites. Makes sense. What about older devices? Or maybe older browsers that might not support this yet?
Good question. The technology is built into modern operating systems and browsers. Our team's findings show most devices from the last few years are probably fine. We're talking iOS 16 and up, Android 9 plus, Windows 10 or 11, macOS Ventura or later, and, current versions of Chrome, Safari, Edge, Firefox.
So fairly recent stuff.
Yeah. If you happen to be on a really old device or an outdated browser that isn't compatible or maybe doesn't work with your chosen passkey manager, the sites offering passkey support will always give you fallback options.
Like just using the password still?
Usually, yeah. Log in with your password and maybe 2FA, or sometimes they offer an option to use a nearby compatible device like your phone to authenticate the login on the incompatible one.
Okay, so there are workarounds. And finally, maybe the most fundamental security question.
Yeah.
How is the passkey itself, that private key, actually protected on my device? Is it just sitting there in a file?
Oh, definitely not. The private key is stored in a highly secure environment. This is usually within a dedicated secure hardware chip on your device, like the Secure Enclave on Apple devices, or similar hardware on Android and PCs designed specifically for cryptographic keys.
Like a mini vault inside the device.
Kind of, yeah. Or, if you're using a passkey manager, it's held within the manager's heavily encrypted vault. Accessing that private key to actually use it for login requires you to authenticate first, using your device's main security, your fingerprint, Face ID, or PIs.
So the device lock protects the key.
Exactly. And if you're using synced passkeys, that whole synchronization process is also end-to-end encrypted, meaning not even Apple or Google or 1Password, whoever is facilitating the sync, can actually see or access your private keys.
That end-to-end encryption is crucial. Okay, so for someone listening right now who's thinking, all right, I'm tired of passwords, I want in, what are the first concrete steps they should take?
Okay, based on our analysis, the first step is pretty simple. Just check if your main device's phone, computer are compatible. As we said, most recent ones likely are.
Quick Google search probably tells you.
Yeah. Then start looking at the major online services you use most, your Google account, Apple ID, maybe main social media, banking apps if they support it yet, and see if they offer the option to set up a passkey in the security settings.
And just enable it.
Enable it on those accounts. Try it out. Now, a really crucial next step, especially if you want that seamless cross-device experience and good recovery options, is choosing a reliable passkey manager.
Okay, and this is where different options come in. Now, as part of the Urban Herald team, after looking at the landscape, do we have a specific recommendation based on our evaluation?
Yes, we do. We've spent time evaluating the main passkey management options out there, and based on our team's analysis, testing, and comparison, we trust and recommend 1Password for managing your passkeys.
1Password. Okay.
Yeah.
What specifically stood out about them in your evaluation? Why that recommendation?
Well, our deep dive highlighted several key things. First, 1Password has excellent multi-platform support. It just works smoothly across iOS, Android, Windows, macOS, Linux, all the major browsers. It's really essential, so it works wherever you are.
But doesn't matter if you have an iPhone and a Windows PC.
Exactly. It bridges those gaps.
Yeah.
Second, their security architecture is genuinely top tier. They use strong end-to-end encryption. They quickly adopt the latest passkey standards, including things like the new PRF extension, which adds another layer of data protection.
Okay, security sounds solid.
Very. We also found its user experience to be incredibly well thought out. Creating passkeys, storing them, actually using them day to day is just effortless. And their account recovery options are robust and clearly explained.
Ease of use is important if people are actually going to switch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one final point. Unlike relying only on, say, Apple's or Google's built-in managers, which kind of tie you to their ecosystem,
Right.
Using a dedicated, independent manager like 1Password gives you portability. Your secure logins, your digital keys aren't locked into one platform. If you switch phone brands or computer types later, your vault comes with you easily.
That independence is a good point.
Yeah, we think it's a really strong choice for individuals, families, even teams who are serious about both top-notch security and making their lives easier online.
Okay. So looking at all of this, the technology, the clear benefits, that incredibly rapid adoption rate, it really feels like the trajectory is clear, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
The passwordless future isn't some far-off dream anymore. It seems like it's rapidly becoming the reality, and passkeys are really leading that charge.
Absolutely. Passkeys are quickly positioning themselves to become the default, the most common way people authenticate online. We expect to see even broader site compatibility very soon.
More sites jumping on board.
Definitely. Continued improvements in recovery options, making that even smoother, and maybe even new ways this underlying crypto tech can be used perhaps for things like truly end-to-end encrypting more of our data across different services.
Interesting. So the age of struggling with complex, easily stolen passwords, it really feels like it's drawing to a close.
And I think that's a welcome change for pretty much everyone's security and, frankly, their sanity.
I agree with that. So just to quickly bring it all back together, Passkeys represent this revolutionary leap forward. They offer really unmatched security against the biggest online threats like phishing and data breaches, while at the same time making your login experience dramatically simpler and faster.
Yeah, it's that rare win-win of better security and better convenience.
We've explained a bit of the how behind it and outlined those steps you can take right now to start using them. Check compatibility, enable on key accounts, and definitely consider a trusted manager like 1Password to handle it all smoothly.
And remember, this move isn't just about saving a few seconds. It fundamentally boosts your safety in this digital world we all live in.
Right. So maybe something to ponder as we wrap up.
Yeah.
As logging in becomes truly frictionless and secure, almost invisible thanks to Passkeys,
Yeah.
how might a completely passwordless internet fundamentally reshape our sense of online identity and maybe even how we interact with all these digital services day to day?
It really opens up some fascinating possibilities, doesn't it? Things we're probably only just beginning to think about.
It does indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive from the Urban Herald team.